Hello, Oracles. Well, Tesla stock was up almost 8% today after CPI readings came in beating expectations. We had expectations on the CPI of 8%, and we came in at 7.7%. So, ironically, we came in with a CPI of 7.7, and Tesla was up 7.7%. Lucky sevens we had today. So now, while Tesla did have an awesome day being up 7.7%, it did underperform the market. We had the Nasdaq up 7.3%. So typically Tesla would outperform by even more than just that 0.4%. So it seemed like with all the volume that we had today at 132 million shares trading hands, seeing as the rest of the market started the day strong and kept on going up, but Tesla started the day strong and then came down quickly, seems like maybe Elon was doing some more selling today. We have not seen any Form 4 filings from him for the last 2 days. So he does have 48 hours to file these. So if we were going to see anything from him from yesterday's sales, he would have until tomorrow to file. If he did sell anything today, he would have until Monday evening to file. So we still have to pay attention to see if this is all done. And we will check one last time before we get off of tonight's video to see if he filed then, but just something to pay attention to. Still an awesome run. And I have a feeling that for the next couple of weeks, since we have had an underperformance with Elon selling, we may kind of recover from that and then bounce back up. We'll dive into the charts in a minute to take a look and see where we are at, but I just kind of have a feeling that we'll get a little bit of a recovery and a rebound coming. And so looking at the CPI data, you can see here that we were up 0.4% month over month, and then year over year, we were up 7.7%. So again, the expectations for today were 8%. This was a big beat. I've been looking for this 7 for the last 3 months. We have now finally got it, and we did it in grand fashion. Obviously, we want to continue this trend. We do have a long way to go. The Fed wants to get inflation down to 2%. And right now, we still have 5.7% that we need to drop. So maybe this is the start of this cliff that we're going to see. But if we are going to be looking at maybe a 0.5% dropping every month, it's going to still take a little while to get back down. So I would not anticipate us going on any sort of major bull run until we get closer to that 2% range. So who knows? We're going to track this still month to month and we'll follow this data, but this was a great sign. This is now 5 months in a row that we have been coming down with inflation. So we are on a very nice trend. So now one of the things that we do pay attention to as well is the core inflation. The core inflation is the one piece that the Fed says that they do have control over because that takes out food and energy costs, which they say they cannot control. And that there we went from a 0.6% in September to a 0.3% in October. So that was a nice drop that we had seen there. So again, moving in the right direction, very happy about these inflation numbers. We just want to make sure that these do end up continuing going forward. And so looking at the charts that we had today, again, we had great volume coming in with 132 million shares trading hands. I think we had a higher number because, again, I do think that Elon was probably selling today. I mean, just looking at the way we traded over the course of the day today, look at how we had started here. We do have a gap that goes from 177 up to about 180. So again, gaps fill 9 out of 10 times. And what a gap is when we close one day, so we closed yesterday at 177, we opened today significantly higher up here at the 190 mark, and then we dropped down to 180. We never came down to hit that 177 again. So there is this gap between 177 and 180. So that to me tells me that we have this gap and we will probably end up coming down and filling that. Gaps fill 9 out of 10 times. But looking at the way we fell right off, this to me here says Elon was selling. The rest of the day, I don't think so. Now, we talked about it yesterday with how much he had left to sell. Seemed like he sold the normal amount, well, I would say normal amount of what he had been doing for the rest of the week yesterday, but he would have still had a little bit left to go. So perhaps these amounts here at the beginning of the day, looking at this giant candlestick here with volume coming in, this is 12 million shares right here. And then we had another 3 and almost 4 million, and then almost 5 million. Then we got that green candlestick pushing us back up. So it seems to me that we probably had him doing this last little bit of selling. My guess is he is done now. Based upon these numbers, I have a feeling this was it, and then he's going to be done. So moving us forward, we just kind of stayed sideways because, again, we don't have that confirmation that he's done. But if he did not sell, we probably would have seen probably a 10% gain on the day. To finish the day off, it was very nice. We had this nice run coming at the end of the day and finished the day with some very nice green volume at the last candlestick. All very good signs to finish the day off. And so now if we go back to the day chart here, we can see that we were stuck right in this level here. We hit that 190 mark, closing up almost 7.5%. And I apologize, I think I said 7.7% earlier. So 7.39% we were up on the day. So we're still in this downward trend. Again, we had talked about it before. We could dead bounce out of it and then come back in. We are still in this downward trend. We've got that gap down to 177 to pay attention to. But again, it was a very strong day, and we have the RSI right now at 34. So we're not in the oversold range, but we are pretty darn close. Just something that we're going to pay attention to as we look forward. And so some great news that we had gotten in today as well. Looks like we've got Tesla is hiring for the Cybertruck production in Austin. Awesome news coming in. So we've got the dimensional engineer, manufacturing operations leader, senior equipment engineer, lots of jobs coming in right now, hiring for the Cybertruck. So again, we know this is coming. We have already talked about it. We've had Elon coming out and telling us that we are most likely going to be seeing volume production for this by the middle of next year. We have other sources coming out saying that we'll be at mass production by the end of next year. Either way, we are getting all of these signs showing that we will have volume production coming for the Cybertruck in 2023. We will just wait and see what the timing is on this. Very exciting news here. Now we just wait to see what is the ordering page going to look like? When are we going to get it? What is the pricing going to look like? Lots of questions there. We'll just have to wait and see what's going to happen. And so now I don't want to talk about Twitter too much. We've been talking about it a lot lately just because it's kind of important with what Elon is doing, and it has been clearly affecting Tesla, especially since he's been selling. So to go into some of the news that we are getting, Elon Musk tells Twitter staff he sold Tesla stock to save the social network. So it doesn't seem like there's anything from him. He hasn't confirmed anything. He hasn't said any of this, but he basically had said to his employees and staff over at Twitter is he had made these sales in order to do this. I don't know personally if he's saying this, that he was doing it to save the social network and save Twitter because he had seen it failing as a company, or if right now it is going to be going bankrupt because they are looking at advertisers pulling out and he wants to have enough money to be able to float the company by. This is something we had discussed before. Is Elon selling Tesla shares in order to prevent Twitter from going bankrupt? Or is Elon just finishing the sale that he needed to make in the first place, and that's how he's saving it? We still have no answers from Elon yet. We have not gotten any confirmation. We have not seen him say anything as to why he is doing this. We have gotten this before back in August when he sold last time. He gave us all of this information. Of course, every time he tells us that he's done selling, he then sells again. So this is starting to give a lot of Tesla investors a bit of questioning going on. Personally, I don't care. That is my personal opinion, and I know many of you guys disagree with that, and that's perfectly fine as well. You guys don't have to agree with me with what I feel. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's a great thing to have this. Even Elon himself says it's great to have people complaining on Twitter about Twitter because he likes to get those complaints. That feedback, positive or negative, is the way you can improve. If all you're surrounded by is yes men, you're never going to improve. You have no competition. You need somebody who's going to scrutinize what you are doing. That's why I love the feedback from you guys. You guys have been the ones who have helped me improve this channel, and I will continue to improve from here as well. Elon is doing the same thing with Twitter. He likes that feedback coming in because that's how he can improve. He likes to be agile. He mentioned it on their Twitter space the other day with all of the advertisers, talking about how this is the reason why he is doing this. He likes to be agile, and he needs to be agile, which is why Tesla is so successful. They are a very agile company themselves. So whenever they get that, immediate feedback loop going on over there, we have heard this from many people who work over at Tesla as well. We've had it from Joe Justice. We've heard it from Farzad. These guys are telling us that they have an immediate feedback loop. Their employees get an immediate feedback saying, hey, there's an issue with this. Bang, they can go and correct it right away. That is the culture that they have with the company. This is what is so vital to growing with them. And on top of that, he has amazing capital expenditure skills to go with that. So they can move very quickly. They can spend the money as they need, but they cut costs in so many other places. They have that luxury of spending the money to be agile. That's really what he is doing. This is something I have talked about all year long as well when it comes to just my portfolio and investing in general. You want to be an agile investor, especially during these times. Have that cash flow coming in and be able to spend that money in an agile and very cost effective way to get the best bang for your buck. That to me is how I have been doing it. Of course, I'm not perfect by any means, but this is how you learn. The more you have coming in, the faster you can learn. I've talked about it before about a story about the pottery teacher who had two groups of his class. And he said, one group, you are going to create the perfect pot. The second group, you're going to just create as many pots as you possibly can. Well, the group that was going out there to create the perfect pot spent all semester trying to figure out what was the perfect pot. By the end of the semester, all they had was a piled mush of clay because they couldn't figure out what it was. Meanwhile, the other group that had to just create as many pots as possible ended up having some rough pots in the beginning. They had some mush, but as they were going through all of the pots, by the end of the class, they ended up creating the perfect pot. And they actually ended up creating the perfect pot over and over and over again because they had that repetition and they failed forward and learned from their mistakes. This is how Elon operates with all of his companies. So we are going to be seeing this with Tesla. The more they produce, the more they can learn from this. Think about when they're going to go wide release with FSD. They're going to put this out there and have even more feedback coming back in. They're going to be able to learn even faster with all of that. That means they're going to get to that perfect solution faster than everyone else. This is why data is so important when it comes to solving all of these problems. And so with the CPI data coming in with a nice beat today, with it seeming like Elon is probably done selling his shares today as well, we might actually get a nice outperformance tomorrow in the stock. So again, we had a very big run from the entire stock market today. Tomorrow may be a sell-off, don't know. But again, looking at the fact that we still have to come down significantly with inflation, the Fed still has a lot of their balance sheet that they need to run off. This is definitely, to me, not going to be that start of a bull run. This is just going to be a little bit of a relief rally coming in. We'll see how long it lasts. We'll see if we drop a little bit more after this. My gut tells me we are still going to drop a little bit further. Many of you have been asking me, what is that next price downward that I'm looking to dump heavier into? And ironically, it is that 140 mark that Chicken Genius was talking about. So for me right now, we have that gap down to 137. So I have been saving up cash. I've got about 8.5% cash right now. If we do end up coming down further to that point, I will end up having that over 10% cash, just like I had at that 247 mark, where I dumped in heavier at that level. So for me, if we come down, I will dump in heavier at that 140 mark. If we do not, I'm just going to continue dollar cost averaging. And if I get a sign that we have hit that bottom, I'll dump in heavier at that point. But I don't think we're going to get that sign for a little while. But with the amount of cash that I have been saving up, if we do end up pulling down further, I will be able to deploy that cash and get myself closer to that 50 share mark. That was my goal by the end of the year. So I'm very excited about that. Looking forward to what we're going to see tomorrow. And again, when it all comes down to it, it's the fundamentals. Look at the fundamentals that we've been seeing lately. Record production and sales numbers coming out of China. We've got the Cybertruck hiring going on. We've got so many positive catalysts coming for the stock. And the other catalysts that I know I was going to tell you guys about, think about the fact that Shanghai alone, we were looking at those upgrades that we had over the summer that were going to get us to 21,000 vehicles production per week. We are almost at that level now. So that production is great. We are at a 1 million vehicle run rate over in Shanghai right now, annualized. That is amazing. Within 3 years, we have gotten ourselves to a 1 million vehicle annualized run rate, and that is still has room to grow. We can still grow up from here. By the time we hit the end of the year, we're going to be at that 2.1 million vehicle run rate company wide. So looking at that number there for a run rate to start the year, that is what a 50% year over year growth would be by the end of next year. That doesn't include the Cybertruck. That doesn't include further expansions. That does not include further ramping of all of the factories. We are looking at a massive 2023 growth for fundamentals on top of what we have already seen this year. So despite the headwinds we have been facing all year long, we still have 50% year over year growth. We are looking at a very close 50% year over year growth for deliveries as well. Going into next year, we are going to be seeing that grow even more. We will have the buybacks coming next year. We're going to have that compact car coming in 2024, Robotaxi, Optimus production coming next year, FSD getting solved. We have so many positive catalysts to look forward to on a fundamental level that these times right now are noise. I mean, you guys can tell me in the comments below how you feel about all of this noise and what you think it's going to do for the company 3 to 5 years down the road. Do you think that is going to affect the company fundamentally 3, 5, 10 years down the road? It's possible. You guys can let me know. I personally am on the positive side of things. I think this is going to help the company fundamentally long term. Near term, obviously, it's causing some turmoil in the stock price, but is it actually going to affect the company fundamentally in the long term? You guys can let me know your thoughts in the comments. I would love to have these discussions. And speaking of discussions, we are going to be having tomorrow on our live stream Nick Gibbs from Investing Against the Grain and Vinny from Investment Club. Both of those awesome guys will be on here. We will have a great discussion. Again, it's going to be this open forum session. I will be sending out links to all of you guys as members and patrons as well. If any of you guys want to come on camera and you're okay with that, you are more than welcome to join us. And last thing, as I told you guys, what I would do is check to see if there were any Form 4 filings before we finish this video. We'll check right now, and there is nothing as of right now. Sometimes they end up filing later. Right now, the time is 6:30 Eastern time, so sometimes it files around the 8 p.m. mark. So again, I will continue watching it tonight. If they do end up dropping, I will have that out for you guys in the morning video to let you guys know what was going on, whatever came down from this. And again, judging by what we had seen in the charts, I have a feeling that the last little bit of selling that he was going to do was this morning, and he should be all done for now. I don't know if he's going to come out this time and actually say he is done, because he's gotten so much backlash for that. But you got to remember, every single time he has said it, he's been honest in the moment. I don't think every time he has sold, he has anticipated having to sell more in the future. I think these things have just been coming up. That's my personal opinion. I know there's a lot of other people who are quite upset with him about this. Totally cool. I understand it. You know, we're all seeing our portfolios going even redder than normal, but that's just something that you have to deal with when you're going to be a Tesla investor, is Elon being Elon. And just also remember that Elon being Elon is what got us to this point in the first place on the positive side of things. So if you had faith in him before to get us through rough times, even though he has caused turmoil during those rough times, he grew us from points where we're the darkest depths that we thought we could be in and came out shining. So rising like a phoenix, I think it's going to happen again, but I know how discouraging it can be. So looking at this going forward, very excited. Awesome being up over 7% today. So we will take a look tomorrow. Hopefully we have another great green day tomorrow. Can we close over $200? We will see. And just quickly diving back into the charts, because I told you guys I would show you some support and resistance levels. So support levels that we have going down below us right now, we've got one right around that 167 mark. Below that, we have one right at that 150 mark, and 150 is going to be a psychological level. And then below that, we've got that gap down to 137. So below us, that's kind of where we're at. Now, if we are going to be going above us at this point, we've got resistance levels that are going to be all the same as they were on the way down. So we've got $200. We are right at that 191 mark right now. So again, this here acting as that resistance level as it did today. So even with Elon selling and the CPI data, regardless of all of that, these levels are the levels that we end up hitting. So we've got the psychological 200. Above that, we've got 207. Above that is 213, 221, 233. So those are the levels to pay attention to as we're going up. And then we've got those gaps that go up to the 235 mark and then 265. So again, a good day today, up over 7%, just paying attention to it, but just take that step back and realize that it's going to take some time for us to truly come out of this. Still excited. Again, fundamentals amazingly strong for the company. These are the great times for me to buy right now. I have been adding like crazy this past week. And if we come down further, I'll be paying attention to that 140 level to be able to dump in half of my cash at that point. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all of the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. We do have a Discord chat. That link is down in the description. And if you'd like to support the channel any further, we do have a Patreon. That link is also in the description. Thank you so much. Have a great one.